communicating hope on Domestic Church Catholic Radio. Welcome back. Another hour of Friday Live on this beautiful October 14th, although by the time we finish the program, it's going to be getting dark.
It's dark so early, but I will tell you, it is beautiful outside.
Yeah.
And it does seem like overnight the leaves changed.
Yeah,
like
all of a sudden.
I drove to church 2 days ago wondering, boy, when are the leaves going to change? And today it was a vibrant palette of rust and yellow and red.
When I looked out my window, and I thought,
when did that happen?
Yeah, but I also thought that if you didn't have a lot of rain in the summer, you wouldn't get that color. We had a lot of rain in the past couple of weeks, I guess.
It's not every tree that's vibrant, but you have enough color out there that you can definitely tell that it's fall. We should take a drive on Sunday somewhere. It's supposed to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've got so much housework. Now, here's something. Can we give out the number for this? Do I have a moment?
For what?
We had some work done in our kitchen, and there were some paint drippings on the floor. And whatever solution they used to, take the paint
off the linoleum.
Literally stripped
tiles, whatever we have down
It's linoleum that looks like tile. It's not real marble tile.
No.
It's linoleum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dull and almost has like a roughness to it. It's just, they really left a mess. And I washed it, but it's still like your feet are sticky on it. So whatever solution that is. But I just wonder if anybody has any tips or tricks like how to get the shine back in my floor.
You can text us, 609-493-8255. If you can tell Cheryl how to get the sheen back on her floors after the painters, they sprayed some solution to get the paint off. They were a couple of,
right,
not a lot.
It also took off whatever.
The shine. So how do you get that back and how do you get the stickiness away? 609-493-8255. We need a little household hint.
Yeah, and I will pray for you while I do it. I will pray in thanksgiving for your tip and trick.
So text the solution to 609-493-8255, and we'll share it with the listeners.
Well, my point was I need to stay home and wash the floor yet again, but we should get out and enjoy the weather.
We should while it's here. All right, well, we have our gospel for this coming Sunday, the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. It'll be followed by a reflection by Father John Butler.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus told his disciples a parable about the necessity for them to pray always without becoming weary. He said, there was a judge in a certain town who neither feared God nor respected any human being. And a widow in that town used to come to him and say, render a just decision for me against my adversary. For a long time, the judge was unwilling, but eventually he thought, while it is true that I neither fear God nor respect any human being, because this widow keeps bothering me, I shall deliver a just decision for her, lest she finally come and strike me. The Lord said, pay attention to what the dishonest judge says. Will not God then secure the rights of his chosen ones who call out to him day and night? Will he be slow to answer them? I tell you, he will see to it that justice is done for them speedily. But when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
During morning prayer, one day earlier this week, that portion of the Divine Office or the Liturgy of the Hours, also known as Lauds, during that session of morning prayer, the intercessions included a prayer using these words, quoting, Christ, the splendor of the Father's glory, enlightens us with his word. With deep love we call upon him to give us strength in temptation, endurance in trial, and gratitude in prosperity. The key words in that intercession, the operative words in that prayer that relate to our Sunday Gospel passage today, the words of Jesus himself in that parable preached by Jesus himself, those key words are endurance in trial, endurance in trial. This Gospel passage is subtitled and often referred to as the parable of the persistent widow. And that's a very accurate and very appropriate and very helpful title for this parable, since this is one of those parables of Jesus that is often misunderstood and misinterpreted, somewhat like the parable of the dishonest steward that we heard a few Sundays ago from Luke's chapter 16. This Sunday, we have moved on to chapter 18 of Luke's Gospel. Jesus is that much further along in his continuing on-foot journey from the north of Israel to the south of Israel and to Jerusalem, that much closer to the Last Supper and his passion and his crucifixion and his glorious resurrection, the travel narrative, as it is known in the Gospel of Luke. And as he has journeyed with his disciples, he, Jesus, has shared with them and with us memorable parables, helped lepers, healed lepers and helped them, dined with the Pharisees and confronted them courageously and unflinchingly as they have challenged him and sought to entrap him, and in Luke's colorful words, heard all these things and sneered at him. Imagine sneering at Jesus. And so with this parable today, we might be tempted to focus our attention on the character in the story whom Jesus himself identifies as the dishonest judge. But that subtitle that I mentioned earlier, the parable of the persistent widow, that subtitle helps us to avoid going down the wrong road. That dishonest judge is merely a means to an end. The heart of the story is the widow, and the lesson of the story is her persistence, her perseverance and her perseverance in prayer. Luke, the author, and Luke, the storyteller, makes it especially easy for us to see this in the very first verse of chapter 18, where he explains and introduces the parable with these words. And then he told them a parable about the necessity for them to pray always without becoming weary. Pray always and without becoming weary. Luke basically gives away the story and gives away the moral of the story before Jesus even has a chance to tell the story. At times, we can be so impatient and feel that God has not heard our prayers when they are seemingly not answered, immediately. We live in a world of instant gratification, instant coffee and fast food, instant messaging, and so forth. At the touch of a button and with a few computer clicks, we can be virtually and instantly almost anywhere in the world. But Jesus, in today's gospel, is asking us to be patient. Pray always and do not lose heart. Our prayers will be answered, maybe not in the way that we are requesting or expecting. I myself prayed several prayers recently for the Mets to beat the Braves and then to beat the Padres. And we all know what happened there. Wait till next year, Mets fans. Be patient. Our prayers are answered in the way that is beneficial to us and in accord with God's plan. St. Luke shows us many, many times that Jesus himself prayed consistently during his public life and during his time of passion. We are Jesus' disciples, his followers, and therefore we are called to follow his example and to be people of prayer as well. Prayer is like a magnet that keeps us close to God. If we let go of that magnet, we drift away from God. And so as we conclude, back to that parable for a final thought, in the end, that dishonest judge responds to the widow not out of duty nor out of responsibility, but rather just to be rid of her. Obviously, God does not want to be rid of us, nor does God grow tired from listening to our prayers. He never grows weary from our prayers, nor from hearing our confessions. This teaching on prayer is full of hope, even in situations when God and his divine providence may delay the response to our petition. And so may we pray with grace, for the grace and for God's help to be patient, persistent, persevering, and enduring in our prayers. May we teach our children to pray and teach our children how to pray. And may we never grow weary and never lose heart in maintaining our prayer life, our prayerful closeness to God and to his saints in heaven. And so may God bless you and your families and all your loved ones.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail. God's justice and peace will sustain, for God's perfect love shall reign.
All you who thirst, come to the water. Without money, come waste your money on foolish things? Why spend your wages on what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Live the love of God.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of death will never prevail.
God's justice and peace will sustain. For God's perfect love shall reign.
All you who labor, come to the water. All you weary, come and find rest. Why tire for foolish things? Why give your labor for what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Live the love of God.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail. God's justice and peace will sustain. For God's perfect love shall maintain justice and do what is right. For soon God's salvation shall come. God's deliverance will then be revealed.
All you forsaken, come to the water. All the broken, come and find joy. Why give your life for foolish things? Why put your trust in what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Live the love of God.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail. God's justice and peace will sustain. For God's perfect
Song about a mountain.
And it's not climb every mountain.
No. You know, Climb Every Mountain, Rodgers and Hammerstein from Sound of Music.
Right.
And then in Carousel, also written by Rodgers and Hammerstein, there's that You'll Never Walk Alone. It's very similar. Not melody-wise, theme-wise, thematically.
Oh, I see.
And crescendo at the end, you know.
Yeah, well, they have a writing
When
style.
you walk through the woods, hold your head up.
When you walk through a storm.
Oh, storm. I thought it was through the woods. And don't get hit by a branch.
I don't think so. Well, there's a theme for next year's concert, show tune.
No, no.
I say you and your friends need to put on a little montage of Fiddler on the
No,
Roof.
no, it's gotta be the same type of thing. Can't go out there doing show.
Now, did
tunes.
Frank sing? Yeah, did Frank sing Christmas music?
Oh, sure.
He has Christmas albums.
Oh, sure. He even
Oh, I
sang
did.
religious Christmas carols.
It'd be a nice thing to have a Christmas show.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't get Notre Dame High School Theater at Christmas time.
No, it'd have to be someplace else.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, it would
And
be
I could serve you more cranberry juice.
a little toddy, little toddy. Well, people have asked us to make it an annual event. That
I'm
concert.
surprised at how many people did say that.
People enjoyed it.
It's lovely. Thank you, everyone.
I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. You enjoyed it. Angela enjoyed it. The band enjoyed it.
Jolly time.
But there's a whole slew of other Sinatra songs I can do, and I'm sure Angela can do some other
Oh, sure.
hits like that, and it would be entertaining, I suppose. Especially if I have my little Jack Daniels before the show starts.
Before the show, it'd be really entertaining.
Just a little sip. Just a little sip.
It soothes the vocal cords.
Oh, when I used to sing in clubs back in the day, late 70s, early 80s, I mean, I'd have a few of those. Because we sang for 5 hours.
I would drink hot tea.
No, I mean, we used to start at 9, at 9 o'clock and end up at 1:30, 2 o'clock.
I'd be asleep by 9:45.
Yeah. Couldn't do it now.
No,
Those
no.
hours.
My goodness.
And then I would go out with, before I knew you, Richie, my other piano player.
Afterwards,
We'd finish at 2 and then go to a diner and we'd be up. I'd get home like 5 o'clock in the morning and then go to the Saloon Singers Mass at 12:30 at St. Matthias.
I knew there was a saloon singers mess. I was talking with someone earlier today, and they said they would have, or they just started at their parish, 7 or 7:30 on a Sunday night, and they call it the Last Chance Mass.
Oh,
That's fabulous. But I thought I remember you saying there was a saloon
I
singers
used to call it the
Mass.
Saloon Singers Mass. It was 12:30 at St.
could
Matthias in
sleep in.
Somerset. So I would, I'd get in around 4 or 5 and then sleep and then get up in time to go to Mass. In fact, you came to that Mass with me when we were either had just played our first gig or whatever, and I
do
said to
remember.
Carl, our drummer,
I'm going to Mass.
I'm going to Mass at 12:30. He said, "Oh, can I come with you?
Get
Do
out
you want to
of
come to
here.
Mass with me?" You did. You said that.
Oh, I thought you had Carl
No,
said
no,
that.
you said that.
Oh.
No,
I
you
thought
said
it
that.
was Carl.
You said that.
Yeah.
I said, "Sure, you can come. It's a Saloon Singers Mass, 12:30."
And that's the Mass that nobody sings. With all those saloon singers there, they don't sing because I think they're still like trying to stay quiet.
One time I went to that Mass, and it was at 12:30, and they were going to have baptisms after the Mass. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the congregation. This is probably 1983, 84, 82, maybe. And standing there in the church is Susan Sarandon
Oh, wow.
and her boyfriend, I forget his name, another actor. And I'm looking, I said, "That's Susan Sarandon." Well, she grew up in Edison,
Yes.
and she had a niece or a nephew being baptized at St. Matthias. Her sister or brother had a
How
baby.
about that?
And actually, I met Susan Sarandon when she was just starting out, and I was doing a show at St. Peter's. I was in the play, The Mouse That Roared. I played Count Mountjoy. And the young lady who had the lead was a year ahead of me, Mandy Tomlin, was Susan Sarandon's sister.
Okay.
So Susan Sarandon came to our play. And then we had career day or something, and so Mandy Tomlin brought in her sister, the actress Susan Sarandon. Just started. She was
Who
just,
was just at
just
the
off
very-
Broadway. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, beginning.
so, and she said, "Does anybody here want to get into theater?" She looked at me. She goes, "You do, don't you? You do. You're in the play."
And you were speechless.
Not really. I didn't know who she was.
Well,
Big
they all have
deal.
to get started somewhere.
Yeah, never heard of her. Now she's
Now.
well, she's kind of washed up now, but she had a time of success there. Where she,
Oh, so many movies.
yeah.
Shows.
Too bad, people like that who was obviously raised Catholic, that they don't continue living their faith and giving that they have great opportunity to give great witness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't see a lot of them.
No.
Bob Newhart's very Catholic.
Bob Hope was.
Well, he converted.
Okay.
His wife was very Catholic.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether he converted at the end or on his deathbed. John Wayne converted on his deathbed to Catholicism.
Is that right?
Yeah, Catholicism. But yeah, but the Hopes, Bob and Dolores Hope, they gave enormous money to Mother Angelica.
Right.
They were one of the 5 families who built that shrine. down there in Hanceville.
See that?
And he also built a little side altar at the cathedral
In
in
Washington,
Washington
D.C.
as Our Lady of Hope.
Our Lady of Hope,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. I think I have the picture in my phone. Strikingly beautiful
Yeah.
in a modern way.
Yeah.
And then I read the plaque there. I was taking pictures, and then I read the plaque, and there it was.
Dolores Hope was a guest on Mother Angelica's program once.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was on as a guest. And I don't remember now if he did convert in the end or not, but because he wasn't Catholic.
I just remember their contributions to all those.
Yeah, they had a lot of money. Of course, Bing Crosby was Catholic, and he didn't hold back on that. He was open about his Catholicism.
Right. But so many of them, they move to California, they go to Hollywood, and there's too much pressure, what they have to do to get these parts and everything, and they just don't hang on to their faith.
Patricia Heaton is very Catholic.
Yes.
Everybody loves Raymond. Although she did leave the church for a while and came back. She married a non-Catholic man from Great Britain, and then, but she's very open about her faith on her Twitter account and things, and talks about the Eucharist and
And the woman that stars the show that used to follow Everyone Loves Raymond in the Bronx, the Queens, the King of Queens.
Queen of Queens. Yeah,
She is very
she was raised Catholic, then went into that
Christ scientist.
Christian Scientist,
Yeah.
came back to the church, and Kevin James, is very Catholic.
Yeah. So some of them are hanging on.
But they said, and I forget who told me. It may have been Raymond Arroyo who told me. When the last time we had him here in 2015, he came to one of our things, and he was telling me, and he wouldn't tell me who it was, the actor, and maybe it was Kevin James, I don't know, but he said that they were talking about praying the rosary, and the actor said to Raymond, "Don't mention my name as doing that because that won't get jobs."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's a shame.
yeah, very, very, very unfortunate, because it didn't always used to be that way.
Correct.
People lived their faith, and there was no stigma attached to it, as it is these days in Hollywood.
And the judgment, or then you don't get cast just because
Yeah.
you have faith
Right.
and aren't ashamed to talk about
And
your
in
religion.
in the early, back in maybe the 1940s when Father Peyton was alive, and he's up for, I don't think he was canonized yet, but he would have these family rosaries and the family theaters, and he would get actors and actresses, even those who weren't Catholic, to be acting these plays and these TV movies or radio plays.
But
Lucy,
then was there a point where then you couldn't, because then all of a sudden you were marked?
that probably didn't happen until like the 80s. I don't think there was that much of a problem with it even throughout the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It probably didn't start until things started getting quote unquote politically correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to hide all that, and with the pro-life issue too, that became an issue. But in the old days with Father Peyton, I mean, he got people like Lucille Ball and these major stars to be in his little theater
Radio
dramas,
plays.
radio plays and family theater, because they liked him, and it was a good story, it was a good moral, and not happening now.
No. No, we won't see it these days.
No. Now,
Something will have to happen.
Father Butler was here yesterday, said Mass for us here at the station, as he does every month. And he, I guess the Mother Teresa movie that was out, he said it was wonderful. He's going to bring it into his parish and have it shown in his parish, he said.
Oh, he'll have to keep us posted.
Yeah. So that's been a big, but it wasn't out. It wasn't a major, not in a theater.
Release.
It's out and it disappears real
And they
quick.
bring them to the parishes,
Yeah.
or you can rent a theater. It's really not that expensive to rent a theater anymore, because they're trying to get business back to the movie theaters, which they really, really took a hit and are not even 40% back to the life they had pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But you can very inexpensively take a theater and designate, okay, Sunday at 4, we're showing Mother Teresa or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and make arrangements for the people to pay a certain amount and clear, not that you could do it as a fundraiser, but you could just clear the amount, and it's really quite reasonable.
We could put up a big screen here on the property and have a drive-in some summer night.
Let's
Right? They
and
could do that.
somebody will get that snake going across there.
Dead. That
It
snake is
is?
dead. That big black snake is dead.
Oh, well, rejoice.
Our-
I'm sorry, all creatures of our God and King. But boy, that was a big snake.
Our wonderful volunteer, Mike Alferman, who has been volunteering now for the past few months and doing just incredible things for us.
I know. Every time you come and you'll tell me, well, he's there doing this or he was out there doing that.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
he was
gosh,
down
he
at
fell
the,
from the sky.
He was down out on the field at one of the field houses, the tower houses, and he said the snake apparently had gotten into the tower house and
Whoops.
hit rubbed up against the wrong piece of electronic equipment and zapped, fried,
Oh,
and it was just there dead.
deep fried snake.
But it wasn't a poisonous snake. I looked at it. It was
No.
a Jersey. I forget what they call it, but it was, they're
Jersey, like a black snake.
Yeah, a large black snake that's natural to have here in New Jersey.
Well, it still gives me the creeps.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to mess around with it.
I get weak knees looking at a fat worm.
Yeah, well, it's dead.
Yeah.
Although I see the fox out now again.
That should
out in
take
the-
care of anything.
It was
else.
by the house. It was by the building. It was back out in the field today, running around. I don't know. Are they supposed to come out in the daytime? I don't know. They rabid,
I don't know.
but it's out here. The fox.
They say, I heard on the news that the next 3 months, be careful driving in the evening because the deer are getting more neighborly.
Oh,
Like
really?
They're coming out. And these 3 months traditionally have been known, October, November, December, for the most insurance claims
Really?
of cars that have hit deer.
Hmm.
And they just come looking maybe for more vegetation or they just wander out from where they usually hide.
You
Well,
see
it's
the
dark.
There's one right out on Unionville Road here. It looks like a Christmas ornament.
I know, and then it moves.
rigor mortis just kind of sets in it. It's there in a certain position.
so
You can set it up on your front lawn.
They're so beautiful.
Put it in front of Santa's sleigh. All right, I'll take a break and come back. Karen Baker's going to join us, talk about her brand new book called Faith, Hope, and a Sense of Humor, all about working in parish ministry. So stay where you are, friends. There's more to come right here on Friday Live. Don't go away.
You have come to the seashore, neither searching for the rich nor the wise, desiring only that I should follow. Oh Lord, with your eyes set upon me, gently smiling, you have spoken my name.
All righty, friends, welcome back. This last half hour of the program. Looking forward to having you stay with us for the next 30 minutes because Karen Baker has served in parish ministry for more than a decade, including the last 7 years full-time as office manager at Mary, Queen of Peace Catholic Church in Mandeville, Louisiana. She has a degree in communications from Loyola University, New Orleans, and worked for a newspaper for 30 years. Discovering a real love for the Lord and parish ministry led her to enroll in the Loyola Institute for Ministry in 2008. She received her master's degree in pastoral studies in 2012. And she's written a brand new book called Faith, Hope, and a Sense of Humor to talk about her work in parishes and parish ministry. So, Karen, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, my wife, lovely wife sitting here with me, Cheryl, she's been working in parishes for over 30 years as a parish musician. So I know you and she will have a lot to talk about.
Well, we're both survivors, aren't we?
That's right. Living the parish life.
Yeah, there are some weeks I walk away and I thought, I think it would be easier to be on that show called Survivor. But,
You go.
and we joke, among some of my musician friends and other directors, but I'll go over and, you have to work with the secretary or the deacon or all the different administrative offices. And we often say, a situation will happen, and we often say, you can't make this stuff up. One day I'm going to write a book. And here this is the Christmas gift for them because you have already written the book. So how did this come about?
Well, I'm glad you can know what I'm talking about. Well, we said the same thing around the office all the time when, we got live lobsters delivered on Holy Thursday, and we thought, all manner of things, we should write a book. And since I do love to write. I did work for a newspaper for a long time. I thought, well, this would be great. I can put my two loves together. I love to work in the parish. I love to write. So I thought I'd want to write about how we navigate this world of parish life and all the interesting things that happen and how it helps you grow in virtue, or you have to grow in virtue to deal with it, because otherwise it would make you a little crazy. Like the one chapter I talk about, I come in early to get my work done because once the day starts, you can't get work done.
All right.
Yeah. So I enjoyed writing it. It was really fun, and hopefully people will resonate with them and be helpful.
People don't realize, I think, the importance and the responsibility on your shoulders. And of course, there's many different areas of parish life within which someone can work. But sometimes just that front person who answers the phone, answers the door, whether you call them an administrative assistant or
a bulldog.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. The secretary, the receptionist, whatever. That could be the first face and voice someone coming to that church door maybe ever or in years or has been away or is suffering. You have to be like just wearing many hats, compassionate, and like you said, to be growing in virtue, because you never know what you're going to be confronted with.
No, absolutely. And that's why our pastor always says the person who answers the phone is the most important person in the office.
It's
whoever that might be.
It's true. It's true. You have to have that voice of compassion and welcoming, and that you're going to help, whatever it is. And if you don't know the answer, you're going to find out for them. Otherwise, it's going to leave quite the mark, and that's the reputation the church takes on if that's the only confrontation the person has. So I think of here's one situation which, as I was flipping through the book, that was the one page I opened to. So you go into church, maybe you go early and you think, I'm just going to go into the church for some peace and quiet. Jesus brings you peace, and you run into some parishioner that says, did you know there was a mistake in the Sunday bulletin?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they just sort of throw you off, or if you have your mind, in the right place, you just say thank you. I've learned to just say thank you. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure with music ministry, you hear people who say, "Why did you play that song?" Or "Why did you?" I don't like this music, and we get a lot of that. I know our music director does. So it's
absolutely. It could be the same day, the same hour. And somebody will come to you and say the music was too loud, and someone else will say, I couldn't hear the organ, it was too soft. And you just, if you don't have a sense of humor, you're going to lose your hair.
Well, yeah, that's important. And it was interesting, exploring the sense of humor as a virtue, because I think we don't really think of it that way, but it helps us grow in holiness because we have to laugh at ourselves. We have to learn to just let things roll off our back and find a way to look at it in a humorous light.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, how about within the parish itself, the staff itself, and the volunteers that work with each other? There's obviously at times going to be some friction. I think, some dynamics. Someone get a little upset with somebody else for doing something that kind of overstepped their bounds into their area.
Oh, sure.
So do you address that at all in the book?
Well, I think the book certainly could be for volunteers also, especially we have people who almost work here. They're here so much and they're so valuable. So I think it's certainly good for people who spend a lot of time in ministry, even if they aren't employed. I don't address that specifically, but I do make mention here and there of, like our ushers. I talk about when a toilet's overflowed during Mass. Those ushers have to take care of these things. And so certainly their life of virtue is important, or people who, clean the church, or the people who count the money. I mean, we think about that. These are people who've been doing this for years and have the right heart about it, and they do. So, yeah, I think it'd be good Christmas gift for staff or volunteers, people and work in even Catholic schools, certainly. So hopefully people will enjoy it and they'll get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of this based on your own personal experience, or did you tap into some other friends?
Well, all the stories are things that happened here and in my parish when I was working here, every little story. Now, I did talk to some friends who also work in ministry who gave me some of their takes on things such as there's just some things you can't change in a parish, whether it's the pastor or the some of the parishioners, whatever it is. You have to work in the context where you are and try to deal with it compassionately and learn to look at your own areas of growth too. Because I know sometimes I think I'm hard to work with, but I get very I don't know. I'm a what did I call lovable mess maker. I'll start doing one thing and then I'll walk away and I'm like, oh, I didn't finish that. So we all have different things.
Well, we're just human, and I think sometimes there's that misconception. Well, they work in the church; it just must be so perfect. And I thought, oh boy.
No, they say, what do they say? It's where you see the sausage being made sometimes, because it is. And actually, when I worked in the newspaper, I said it was, in a way, more peaceful, but I think because it's just a job. You do your job, you go home, everyone. I work with good people. And here, I work with great people, but people are passionate about their areas, and it can cause sometimes some conflict. But we can't be afraid of that conflict.
Right.
And what about the dynamic within the parish when a pastor is changed, when a new pastor comes in?
Yeah.
Everything, you have to learn how to work with another individual who's in charge, and that certainly must put a little pressure on people.
Well, sure, that's a good point. I've always thought the Archdiocese should have like some sort of a transition team to come in, because we had a pastor here for 19 years. He left, and we got our present pastor, and it went well. It could be went great, and he's good and very different, but everybody seems to adjust. But I think it can be stressful, certainly, because even with this change, I wasn't working here at the time when the new pastor came, but I know people who were here, they didn't really know what he wanted because he was very different than the previous pastor, because they all work a little differently. So it can be stressful. So to have some good, I think formation is very important for people who work in parishes. That's why I did go through the Loyola program, and I went to a program at Notre Dame Seminary, because I think you need to know about your faith. You need to be formed pastorally to work in a parish. I think that really is helpful.
It's so true, and I could see that. And we don't have now on the East Coast, at least I'm in touch with a lot of different people. There isn't something like that. I'm going to go work in a parish. You might learn how to do your particular area of responsibility, but again, you say the ministerial side, the pastoral side, to always remember that I'm really working for Jesus, and I have to, try to be like him in everything that I do. I could really see the need for, even if once a year the diocese ran for all new employees, or for any employee who wanted to come, you can make it a morning retreat, a morning of reflection, but what it's like to work in parish life, and really let you realize that, you're being called to certain things, and how you have to have those virtues in order to do the best job that you possibly can.
Yeah,
I'm loving how
absolutely.
if you could expand a little the way the book is set up, I almost can see this like a little parish staff mini retreat, because at the end of every chapter there are questions to ponder, and as
Yeah.
you say, you mentioned the virtue.
That's right. And I think, and if I would love to visit parishes if if anyone would want that, because I think it is a passion of mine, because I've been through it. I'm still in it. And each chapter is very short. And actually, when I handed the book to a friend of mine, she said, "Did you know it would be so small?" I said, yes, it's that way for a reason, because everyone's too busy to sit and read a long theological treatise. But each chapter has a little story, and like I said, they are my stories, things I've experienced, like on Holy Thursday when two people didn't get a ride for the washing of the feet, and the pastor said, "I need you to find two people." So I'll tell that story, and then I will, have a little virtue to ponder, a little scripture reference, and some questions that will help you relate it to your own life and ministry. And I think so it's a small book that certainly, hopefully, can help people go deeply in reflecting and read a chapter a week, a chapter a day, and just to see how that connects with what you're doing and helps you hopefully grow in the virtues and not just survive parish life, but really say that, to love it in the way that, God intends us to, because we love our neighbors. We love even the most challenging things, and we can be challenging. So it hopefully gives you another lens to look through and work with.
And when we're well formed in our faith, we know that we're touching lives. We may not see the fruits of our labor right now, but you still do it, that you have faith, you have hope, and you do the best that you can for the people. And sometimes it's thankless. I know so many musicians will play months and months and months, and then finally the pastor comes over and says, "You know what, I liked how you did that one thing. Well, what about the 9,000 other things?" But
Right.
you just do it because you love what you do, and great will the reward be in heaven if we keep up the good work.
That's right. And that is it's hard sometimes to keep that focus, because a lot, depending on personalities, like people want to hear some affirmation, and when you don't, you might get discouraged. But remember, you're doing it for the Lord and for all the right reasons, and you just go home at peace, because like you said, you've done what you can with faith and hope and a sense of humor.
Right.
And I think even people who are not working in parish ministry or volunteering in parish ministry would benefit, because I don't think a lot of people realize all that is being done behind the scenes at a parish. I was just made me think that when last night Cheryl was typing up a list of women, a schedule to dust the church, and I thought, who even thinks of that?
Right.
Does anybody even know there are women dusting the church regularly?
Right.
You have to dust the church.
You do, just like at home. But
Yeah.
it's so rewarding. I mean, so I did it yesterday, and it was so beautiful. The church, there was nobody there. You can pray, you can sing, you just have the whole place to yourself. And my goodness, you're taking care of, where the sacrifice of the Mass takes place. And you just feel like unworthy, like a Martha, but it's
That's beautiful.
just so rewarding. And people don't realize that I get more out of it than, okay, I'm dusting so like everybody comes in on Sunday and it looks lovely, but I get more out of it doing the task.
Oh, absolutely. I think when I ever retire, I just want to be a sacristan and set up Mass. I think it's such a peaceful, beautiful thing to do.
Right.
But I do think, like you said, that other people who don't even work in ministry would enjoy the book. Well, first, it's easy to read and light, but it can be good to know if you have some friends or family who work in parishes to understand kind of the background. A lot of our parishioners, and it's just very kind, they want to buy my book. And they'll say, "But did you say something about me?"
It's not a
only
tell-all
good
book.
things. No, it's not. It's not.
Well, we've been talking with Karen Baker. The book is called Faith, Hope, and a Sense of Humor. It's published by Our Sunday Visitor, and their web address is osv.com. Faith, Hope, and a Sense of Humor by Karen Baker. Karen, wonderful little book, and we do encourage people to look at it, check into it. And again, we know many people who work in parish, whether as a volunteer or as an employee, but again, even those who don't, I think it's a good give them a good sense of what goes on behind the scenes in parish life.
Yeah,
Great job.
great.
Great job, Karen.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad I got to talk to you guys.
We too, and God bless you, and we'll talk to you again at the next book.
Next book. Keep
All
us
right,
posted.
yeah.
All right, Karen. Thanks.
God
God bless
Bye
you.
bye now. All right, friends, you stay where you are. We're going to come right back. Don't go away.
My family left the church because of a very negative experience with a specific priest, and that took my whole family away from going to church for a long period of time. There were other Catholic churches, and there were great Catholic churches and great priests, but we stopped because of that one specific instance. And in a way, I was cheated out a big part of my journey in my life because we weren't in the church. In life, it seems like we're always enslaved to something. And I think that's basically what our culture is all about right now, is we are enslaved to power or to greed or to wealth or to lust. But there's a true freedom to not be enslaved, but to attach ourselves to God and to be free. My involvement in the church, my relationship with God is who I am. It's what gives me my identity. Thank God I'm home.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Father Benedict Groeschel.
There are legitimate differences of opinion in any religion. There are differences of opinion in Catholicism. But in Catholicism, you expect that people will take the teaching of its supreme authority seriously. To go diametrically opposed to those teachings is to not be a Catholic. Someone in the name of Catholicism is sponsoring the destruction of human life, lives of unborn children. And they got the name Catholic on the door. The highest authority in Catholicism in the encyclical Humanae Vitae, Evangelium Vitae, is absolutely clear that no Catholic can support abortion and that Catholics are responsible to take serious action against legalized abortion.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Don't miss this year's Man Up South Jersey Men's Spirituality Conference on November 12th in Haddonfield, New Jersey. This year's theme is Bringing Christ to the World, and attendees of this day-long event will benefit from inspirational talks from powerful Christian speakers. It's a day that could change your life. For more information about the day's events and to learn about this year's amazing guest speakers, go to manupsouthjersey.com.
All right, have a few minutes left before we have to head on out of here for a beautiful weekend weather-wise. It's such a lovely day.
It is. When does the time change?
I think the first weekend in November.
So we still have a couple more weeks of a little bit of light. Then it gets.
Yeah, but even now it's getting dark
I
by
know.
the sun's setting before 6:30. I think at this point. But hey, that's the beauty of the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Then it'll be. I like the fall.
I'd love the change of seasons. You recall when we lived in Arizona, and it didn't take long where it's like, okay, this is the eternal summer. It's either hot, really hot, or ridiculously hot.
It was summer or spring. We do get the spring in the wintertime. You had from maybe December, January, February. When we go out there, it's always
you could have a light
like
jacket,
springtime, yeah.
But still, in the afternoon, you're
The sun is
peeling
hot.
off to
Yeah.
get some sun if that's what you like to do. Yeah.
But yeah, we would drive over to San Diego for the beach. It's about a
Felt
7-hour
landlocked,
drive.
right? We were landlocked there.
Drove up north to Sedona and Flagstaff for the fall and the winter.
They would get snow.
Snow. Strawberry. Didn't it snow in Strawberry?
It did.
We stayed in a cabin or something, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Well, there's one thing about Arizona. They have all the seasons. You just got to drive to find them.
You just have to drive a little bit, a few hours maybe.
But yeah.
And then they closed that northern part of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
is
they
closed
in the wintertime, sure.
Closed the roads.
In fact, when we were out there a few years ago with our kids and Joseph and Tori and the kids, and Angela drove up to the Grand Canyon, and that was February. And it was on the southern rim.
Right.
There was ice.
Yeah. You don't want to slip on that ice.
No. Like those mules. Those mules, they probably still have them going up and down the canyon.
I know, down
right?
those narrow pathways. And then what if one's coming up and the other's going down?
And how can you trust them? They're just dumb animals.
And
They said,
I've had enough of this.
I'm off. I'm done.
I'm going to end it, and you happen to be on their back. Yeah, that would not be a good scenario.
When we lived out there, we had a lot of visitors.
Didn't we always?
People were always coming to visit us.
Every
We
other
had lots
month
of friends when we lived in Arizona.
I know.
Especially in the
Oh.
wintertime.
It was beautiful, though. You have to give it that.
Although we did get notification from someone who I wasn't too fond of that they were going to surprise us and drop in.
But they never did.
No, I wrote a letter back and said,
Yes, what did you say in that letter, Jim? As you were drinking your juice, perhaps. She said, I'm just going to drive out there and drop in.
yeah, I said, well, just when you get out, come out this way. Keep going till you come to the Grand Canyon and then drop in.
I think that's what you told her. Yeah. Very, very nice. Yes, this is the Catholic Radio host. Before
I was
think you
young. I was young.
You weren't fully formed in your faith.
Apparently not. Yeah, come on out. Keep going until you come to the Grand Canyon and then drop in. Most of our visitors were friendly.
Yes.
They weren't just, part-time friends.
they were
They were
honest to
long-time.
good friends and
family.
and devoted family.
My parents came out a lot. They came out and visited, especially when Joseph was born.
Oh, sure.
Had lots of visitors then.
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was. It was a nice time.
Because now we get no visitors and we're just like twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah. But not really twiddling our thumbs.
We're both working.
We work. And now we have all that putting back to do after the painters came.
I know. Now I got to scrub that kitchen floor. But it's stripped.
Oh, well, no one answered your
No.
inquiry here. How do you make your floors shine again after the workers are in
I
and
bet
out?
they would know at sort of a Lowe's or a Home Depot, right? I mean, they sell absolutely everything ever created for your home.
Yeah.
And I could tell them they have service people there. Tell them they came in, they did the workers did
You
a
can
beautiful
ask somebody
job.
at the church. Probably somebody at the church who polishes the floors over
That's
there.
right. Maybe she's got somebody in her book. Well, of course, we have maintenance gentlemen on our staff, and they do a lot of painting and refurbishing.
So they would know.
They would know.
They would know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a lot, but I guess when they a couple of little drips of paint on the floor, they had covering on the floor, but I don't know how it got on the.
I know.
But I saw them spraying something out of a bottle onto it.
And so
and
that gets
that's all
everywhere, and then
gone.
they wipe it, and then it spreads even farther.
And it takes the shine off of your floor.
The floor is stripped.
So you got to
But
put it back
do
on.
you
Mop and glow.
remember-
What about mop and glow? Yeah. Mop and glow would work, I would think.
Did your mother used to wax the floor?
Oh, sure.
My mother would wax.
And wash the blinds. She'd have me. That was one of my chores in the summertime or spring. My mother would take the blinds off of every window, and I had to go outside with them and spray them with the hose and wash them and put soap on them. And
Tedious. Each little tiny strip.
they
of
used to open them
aluminum.
up on the front yard and
And so why don't you do that now?
because my mother's not here anymore.
Well, I'm going to pray that she comes to you in a dream, and the next morning I see you
No,
out
my
on the
mother.
front.
My mother took them off the windows though. I didn't have to do that. She did that herself. And just said,
These
okay,
were
the
the-
blinds are outside.
These were powerhouse women
That's
that
right.
generation.
That's right. All right, well, there's the theme music. That means it's time for us to go. So we hope you have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the beautiful fall weather. And we'll
And thank a parish worker this weekend. Say thank you for what you do behind the scenes, because I'm sure I don't know half of it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Make someone happy this weekend at your parish.
And we'll see you next week.
God bless you.